let's set some goals. Let's talk about how to set goals, how to make them efficient and effective, and what are all of the steps to do that for your creative goals so that October, November, December 2022, you can always achieve your goals and you set ones that are useful for you. Okay, this is something that I've workshopped so much in my life and especially in the last year. And so I want to share what I've been sharing with my clients, which is how to set effective goals and then like what to do after you set the goal. How are you going to achieve the goal? Now, what I really want to say at the beginning of this is that the point of the goal is not to achieve it. I mean, of course, like that is the goal, but the point of the goal is growth. So that's what I really want you to focus on, because we can get really caught up in the details of everything, in the pressure of achieving it, in feeling like you failed because you didn't achieve it. We get caught up in the emotions that are tied to achieving the goal, and it's just not the most efficient way to achieve it. What you really want to do is have commitment to the end goal, and you set a timeline for that. So like I'm going to be going through how to set your October goal, so a monthly goal, but you can use this for any time frame. You can use this for any goal. The time frame is there for the growth because that's a metric we can look at. And so it's not to say like it has to get done by this date, even if that's true, even if there's some like tangible deadline for something, it still isn't useful to put pressure on yourself to hit it by the deadline. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have commitment to hitting it by the deadline, but what I see happen so often, I've gotten caught up with in the past, is being so hung up on the deadline and thinking about the deadline and thinking about like, I need to achieve this by this date, that you get in your head about it and then you don't achieve it because you're self-sabotaging. So similar to what I said in the podcast episode about how to get out of negative thought loops, you want to find the thoughts that serve you. And so sometimes it's like you set the goal of the due date to stretch yourself to have the goal, or because there's like a tangible reason that it needs to be that date, like maybe someone else is depending on you, or it's a client deadline or something like that. And then emotionally and mentally, you release the deadline so you can just focus on getting it done. So you can just focus on the process. You can just focus on doing it instead of all these other things that may be true but aren't helping you actually achieve it. If you're feeling pressure and you're starting to get into fight or flight, it's going to be really hard to achieve your goal. Like you want to have this openness, this spaciousness, this confidence, commitment, feelings that are useful for you to keep going, and you have to find what those are. Okay, so that's kind of the precursor, is the goal is for growth. So when you're setting a goal, the point is to grow. The point isn't, I'm doing this because external reasons. I need to show somebody that I can do this. I need to show myself that I can do this. That's great. It doesn't mean you don't like have that feeling, that emotion, that thought. But like the point of it is to see how far you can go, to stretch yourself, to grow, to find new ways of thinking, new ways of being, to do things you've never done before. And that's why it's messy, that's why it's challenging, and that's why it can be very fun. Okay, so choosing a goal. So it's kind of a 3-step process. And what I would suggest, especially for a month, is to just choose one main goal. Now you can have little other goals that you focus on. It could be something little. Adding in a habit is a great like secondary sort of goal. I don't really think of habits as like my main goals. Those are just things that I'm adding into my life to be living the life that I want to live. So habit goals I just think of them differently as like project-based goals, which I think of a project-based goal as like having an end result that's very tangible that I can see. So it would be like if you make music or art, like I want to make this much money with it or sell this many units this month. Like that would be a really tangible, useful goal. And then something like I want to be practicing guitar every day would be a habit-based goal. And you would think about like that's useful, but why do you want to do that? So with any goal that you're choosing, you want to get to the heart of like, why do I want to do this? Like, what do I want to get out of it? And that will get you closer and closer to the most useful goal that you will have. So choose, for the purpose of this live, choose one goal. You can choose more if you want. Certainly book a call with me if you want to choose more than one, or if you're going to choose one and you want my help. But I would suggest just choosing one. That doesn't mean that you don't do other things in your day. I just know so many creatives out there that have so many things that they want to do, and I'm not suggesting you don't do all of the things. What I'm suggesting is that you focus on one to achieve, to see to completion. You focus on one thing to complete. That doesn't mean that you're not doing other things. Like, it's not the only thing that you're doing with your day, but that's where you're prioritizing your time. So choose one. You know that there's going to be resistance. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, or DM me. Let's talk about it. We'll figure it out. Okay. Because trust me, I've been someone who has chosen like, let's see how many goals I can set for this month, rather than let's just focus on one and then we can like do other things with the rest of our time. But like one goal. It's okay to just choose one. It really will help you, because then your focus is on one thing and you're not going all over the place, and the likelihood of you completing that and then completing the next thing is going to be much more likely if you just focus on one. Okay, so one goal, you choose one, make it something tangible. Like I said, like if you have an art business, or you are a musician, or you have some sort of business, like you want to choose some sort of like money goal or unit goal. These are just metrics. It's not, my client today was like, I don't want to choose a money goal because it doesn't really matter to me. And I was like, great, let's choose a money goal, because that doesn't need to matter. It's the metric that you're looking at. And you want to think about, like I said, like, why would that matter? So let's just say you make art prints and you want to sell 10 this month. Why would that be useful to sell 10 this month? You could make so many other goals, like I want to create 10 pieces, but like where will that get you? If you're in the process of just growing as an artist, that might be a great goal. If you have an art business, then choosing something like a money-based goal or like a unit sold-based goal will be much more useful, because that's the point of the business. That doesn't mean you don't have a personal goal to like grow in your art. That would be something like, I want to write 5 songs this month, to see how to deepen my practice of writing songs, or to learn new ways to write. Like, just be thinking about, what is the purpose? What do I want to get out of this goal when you're deciding what the specific goal is? Now, if you get really bogged down by this, message me, book a call with me, let's figure this out together. But pick a goal that's tangible, that's something that you can absolutely see has been achieved when you have achieved it. Meaning, you don't want to choose something like, I want to get better at guitar. What would that tangibly look like? Like, how would you know that you're getting better at guitar? That's what you want to really boil it down to. And thinking about, like, do I want to grow as an artist? Do I want to sell my art? Do I want to get a specific job? Do I want to work on my home life? Like, what is the thing that you would really like to see at the end of the month? Go back to my post about how to choose between your creative goals if you're feeling really stuck by that. But you really just, it doesn't really matter, in the sense that if you have all of these goals, like, you're going to achieve them eventually. Just choose the one that's most calling to you right now, or the one that if you achieve this one, other ones will kind of become easier, or maybe they'll just be accomplished by this goal. Like, if you wanted to write more songs, you could and you wanted to get better at guitar, like, those can kind of be accomplished together if you choose some sort of like, I want to write this many songs, and really focus on like my writing process and how I play guitar and things like that. Now, the next step is, so you have the goal, the like one goal, tangible goal. Then you say, how do I think I'm going to achieve that? If this is my monthly goal, how do I think I'm going to achieve it? Like, you're not going to know until you do it. So we really need to throw away this idea that like there's a perfect plan, there's a perfect way to do it. You can look at a million different artists and they will have a million different ways that they have achieved goals, that they have made their art, that they have sold their art. Like, you just have to choose the way that you feel most called to do it. Trust your intuition. book a call with me and I can help you work through this. But you just use your best guess for what the action plan is going to be. What are the actions that I'm going to need to take to achieve this goal? Now, the really important thing here is that you want to make it the most simple plan that you can. If there are things you're already doing that could achieve this goal and you're just kind of stretching yourself beyond where you currently are, I should have said this with the goal part. The one thing that I do want to tell you as well is you want to pick something that stretches you further than where you are. So like if you, for example, wrote 5 songs last month or sold 5 albums last month, choose something further than that, like 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, that stretches you further than where you are right now. Again, the point is to grow, but be careful to not stretch yourself so far that your brain can't even fathom that the thing that you want to achieve is possible. Like if there's a part of you that feels like you wrote 5 songs last month and you're like, I'm gonna write 10 this month, and your brain's like, that sounds nice, but like I just don't think that's possible at all. Choose something smaller. Like make it something that feels at least possible, but not so easy that it's like, well, duh, of course I'm going to do that. Because then it's like, yeah, well then duh, you're going to do that. You're not stretching. You can do that, but it's just the point of the goal is to stretch yourself. So you want to stretch, but not so far that you get into fight or flight, that you just get stuck by not feeling like it's possible. Okay, back to the action plan. Kind of similar, you want it to be something that you look at and doesn't feel overwhelming, but also doesn't feel like, well, I don't even see how that would achieve it. Like it's kind of the same process, and it is a balance. And with any goal, the point is to grow. So there's no guarantee. It is all a learning process. You're going to fail forward. You're going to learn your way forward. You're going to commit to the end goal no matter what. And the due date of the month, like the container of the month, is to see how can I do this in this time frame. But really the goal is like, how can I achieve this goal? How long is it going to take me? I'm willing for it to take as long as it takes. And then I just keep shortening the timeline until I get to the timeline that I had set initially. You might just hit it the first time you set it, and that's wonderful. And that gives you so much information, and then you stretch further. Okay, but you want to create an action plan. Sorry, I'm sitting on my feet and it kind of hurts. That's simple enough that even if everything is challenging in this next month, like things that you don't expect, there will always be things you don't expect. Mercury is retrograde right now, my friends, so we got to account for that, okay? Even if things get challenging and the plan is harder to follow through on than I think, I can still commit to this plan. Like you want it to be something that isn't like everything has to go according to like a very specific T or else this plan won't work. You don't want that because there's going to be unexpected things that come up. Now, if there aren't, cool, you just have more time to do more things, to focus on other goals, to expand yourself even further. If you achieve your goal in the middle of the month, neato, you get to set another goal for the next 2 weeks, or you can just choose whatever time frame you want. But make the action plan super simple. This is what I'm really good at because this is what I used to be really bad at. Okay, so I'm very good at this now because I've failed so many times at making really ridiculously complicated plans. If this is something you struggle with, absolutely hire me because I can help you. This is what I help my clients do. Get to the heart of the matter of the goal, get to the heart of the matter of the action plan, make it as simple as possible so that you actually can follow through on it. And then what you focus on is the energy behind it. And that is the most important piece. And that's the third piece of the puzzle. So you have the goal, you make the action plan, and you make it super simple. And then you say, what is the energy that's going to allow these actions to achieve this goal? Now, I think I said this on Instagram, but it might have been on the podcast, but I was talking to a client about this concept in a way that I think will be really helpful for you, whether you play music or not. This will work in any context, but the idea was that to kind of highlight how this works is like you could have a goal of going into a guitar lesson and saying it would be really cool to learn how to play, let's just say you've never played before, like I would like to learn how to play a chord, okay? I want to learn how to play a chord on guitar. You go into the guitar lesson, that's the goal. The action is I go to the guitar lesson and I show up and I play the guitar and I like take whatever the teacher gives me and I learn. Like, it's that action no matter what, right? You go to the lesson, take the lesson, do the lesson. The energy behind it is what's going to determine whether or not that action is going to create that goal. So if you go into the lesson, and the energy is going to be your thoughts and your feelings, and just kind of generally the energy behind it. But that's what I think of as creating the energy. If you go into the lesson, like, I don't think I'm going to learn anything, like, I'm just going to show up, like, I'm kind of just phoning it in, I'm just going to show up to this lesson, hope they teach me something, but I don't really think it's going to work. You could learn something, but you're going to be in resistance the whole time, so it's not as likely that you're going to learn a chord on guitar. If you go in, especially if you go in, you're like, there's no way I could learn a chord this, like, there's no way. I don't think that can happen. I'm not open to it. I'm not into it. All of these energies are going to make it very challenging and or impossible. If you go into the lesson, you're like, I bet I could learn 2 chords. I wonder if I could do 2. I wonder if I could learn how to play a song. Like, I wonder what I could learn in this lesson. I bet I will absolutely learn to play a chord. I bet I will learn even more than that. Anything in this realm where you're open to the possibility, where you're willing to believe, or you are in belief, and you show up to the lesson, you take the lesson, it's so much more likely that you're going to learn a chord on guitar. You're going to achieve the goal. And it's like this with anything. Now, the thing that I really want to point out with this, and that I told my client today, is that you still can achieve things even with an energy of like disbelief or resistance. It's not like you can't, but it's just always going to be harder and much less likely. And so you don't want to bank on that, but that is going to happen. And so what I want to say is, like, it's fine that you're going to have days where you don't believe, where you're questioning things, where you're questioning yourself, where you're not confident, where all of these things, the energy that doesn't necessarily facilitate the best growth, you still can grow. But you're always going to have a better chance if you're open and willing and choosing confidence and committed to the end result and just willing to see what's possible. That's always going to have a better chance of you achieving the goal and beyond. And so that's just where I want you to think about it, is the more that you shift from disbelief into belief, the more that you shift from impossibility into possibility, the more that you shift from a lack of confidence into a choice of confidence, the more that you shift this way, the more likely you will achieve your goals and the better of a time you're going to have. And so that is the work. That's what I do with my clients, is we set the goal and then we decide on the action plan. And then that's the like static piece. And then the energy is the work that you do every day. Now you can do it once a week, you can do it once a month, but the more that you check in with your energy and you say, what am I thinking today? What am I feeling today? Like, am I committed to my goal today? Am I in possibility that it could happen, that some piece of it could happen? One hot tip on that I learned from one of my mentors is you can script about it, meaning you kind of write, like, you think about your day, you think about you at the end of the day. So you do this in the beginning of the day. You think of you at the end of the day, having achieved whatever goal you have for the day. Okay. All right. You can probably hear me, dog. You script in the beginning of the day and you script from the perspective of you at the end of the day having achieved the goal. And there's 2 ways that you can do it. You can do it to get yourself into a state of belief, meaning you just write it as like, I achieved this goal, here's how it happened, like, so great. Domino says hello. To get yourself into a space of like visualizing that it's possible. And then the other way to do it that can be really helpful when you're just like, I have no idea how this could happen today, is you script on all the different ways that it could happen. So if you're like, I have a really busy day, but I know that I want to play guitar today, and I just don't know how that's going to happen because my day is so busy, you could start the day and say, here's the little pockets of time where I could play guitar. And you write it as if it's already happened, just to show your brain what is possible. There's so many tools that I have that I share with my clients for getting yourself into belief, for getting yourself into confidence, for shifting into the possibility that you could achieve what you want today. It doesn't mean it's going to happen today, but the more that you ask the question, could it happen today, the more that it's going to happen one of those days. So the more that you journal on it, the more that you visualize it, the more that you think about it, you put your focus on it, the more likely it is going to happen. Versus how we usually go about our lives is just by default. And it's like you set the goal and then you just do your life. And at the end of the month, you're like, oh, shoot, I didn't do it. Because you didn't put any focus on it. Because it was just like in the background. You were living by default. My clients don't live by default. They live intentionally. And it is a practice. It doesn't just come easy to everybody. It is a practice. And that's why we check in every single week to say, how did it go? What went well? What didn't work? And what are we going to do differently? How are we going to shift? The more that you do that once a week, let alone every single day, you're just going to grow exponentially. It's insane. It's wild. I've seen it for myself. Like when you really focus on something, it happens. And it can happen for you. And that's why we set goals. To have something that you're working towards and to have something that you're checking in with every day to just say like, how is this possible today? What are all of the things that I think are in the way and how could I solve for those? And what I really want to point out that I think comes up a lot and like, I know that I struggled with for a long time was I would say like, I would try to get myself into belief from this passive space of like, this sounds nice. Like this could be a way that it could happen, but I wasn't feeling it in my body. And that's the energy piece of like really solving it from a truthful place of like, how could I believe this honestly and in my body? This is my life. If you, achieving things with dogs barking all the time is a special, we all have special circumstances. This is mine. It's probably the male. Okay. I'm sure I could talk about a million other things to do with goals, and I will. Do you have a goal for this month? Let me know in the comments. If you're watching the replay, still let me know. DM me. This is fine. That's it. Yeah, there's fire, and the fire is my dog's barking, and that's, I hope that's what you were saying, unless you were just saying this live is fine. This is okay. I hope this was helpful. This is how I set goals. I did this process for myself today, and I'm going to check in with my goals every single day this month. My one goal. I have one goal. And I'm going to check in with it every single day to say, am I committed to this today? Do I believe it's possible today? Do I have confidence that I could do this today? And when I say today, I mean like you have your monthly goal, and then it's like, what could I achieve of that today? Or like, is there a piece of that goal? Is the whole goal achievable today? So like I said, like if your goal was to write 5 songs as an example, could you write a song today? Like where's your belief at? It doesn't mean you have to do it, but it's just like to explore that question is what will help you grow. I think we get really stuck because it's like, well, it's just not possible. It's like, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is to grow, and you're going to grow by challenging your brain, by challenging your default. That's how you will get to a place where in one day you can write a song. Whatever your goal is, whatever your creative goal, your personal goal, your life goal, whatever, it all is the same thing. It all happens with the same process. Just like little details, and that's what we work on in coaching. So if you want help with your goals this month, you should absolutely book a call with me because I can help you achieve them and help you really work through the process so it is the most useful for you and so you can find the most useful thoughts for you. It is really challenging to do that on your own because, like I said, we live by default. And so our brain really convinces us that the thoughts that we're already thinking are perfect and fine and good and definitely going to get us where we want to go. And most of the time, they're not. Like, we have to challenge them beyond what we even think is possible. And that's hard to do on your own. You can, and I hope that you do. But if you want help, you want to make the process easier, you want to make it more inevitable for yourself and have more fun, then hire me. Because I have a lot of fun with my clients. They have a lot of fun on our calls. And it's just so fun to celebrate their wins with, like, together. So, my dogs are barking too much, so I am going to go. But I do want to hear what your goals are for the month. If you don't have them yet, then just come back to this live and put them in the comments. DM me. I want to hear about them. Post them. Tag me in it. Oh, my sweet baby. I'm going to go talk to him. Sending you all my love, and I'll see you next time. Bye.